Welcome, my friends. It is I, Tiberius co-host, back again. Season 2 of Mission Neo Geo, and we start it off right. Ness has done very well for himself. He's picked up quite a few titles since I've been gone, haven't you, Ness? Yes, you've done very well. And I hear that you have named this game after me. It is only fitting since I am the true Grandmaster of the Neo Geo. This guy, I swear, always have to do something crazy. Well, yes, I named this the Tiberius Game Room. I thought it would be fitting. I thought, considering that last season you and I had enough ups and downs, this is me throwing an olive branch. And yes, is this a conversion? Yes, Tiberius, it is a conversion. So what? How dare you? The treachery. What is this nonsense? Twinkle Star Sprites. You and I will have to discuss this offline. Besides the point, Ness has betrayed me. The game that I see today, the glorious Street Hoop, the down and gritty basketball game, the only basketball game on the Neo Geo. You were once a star basketball player for high school and your college team, destined to become a grand champion in the NBA when an injury fell upon you. Now, you've been forced. You've come out of hiding. You've healed. And you're trying to prove yourself on the grand stage of the greatest of street basketball tournaments. Perhaps this will take you to higher heights, leading you to a true championship in the World Basketball Association. But before then, you have to prove your grit, your might, your very depth of the game, and show that you can slam it home. Cross them over, break the ankles as if the kids can't possibly stand it anymore. Today on Mission Neo Geo, we discuss Street Hoop. Stay tuned. What it is, welcome back to the channel. It's your guy Neo Ness, and we're here for season 2 of Mission Neo Geo. If this is your first time tuning into the channel, welcome. This is your source and your channel for all things Neo Geo and video games, modern and retro, so stay tuned for more to come. Today we talk about Street Hoop, an awesome basketball game that takes it straight to the streets. This isn't your NBA style game where you're gonna have professional ball players. No, you're playing for the championship for all nations. It's very Olympic-like, but it's 3-on-3 basketball where you're shooting threes, jump shots, and you're doing some super slams in this game. Street Hoop was released in 1994 and it was developed by Data East. Again, this game features 3-on-3 basketball matchups with a variety of different teams. A sequel to the game known as Dunk Dream 95 in Japan and Hoops 96 in Europe, and simply Hoops in North America was released in 1995. In 2010, the original game was released on the Wii, on the Virtual Console, as well as Data East Arcade Classics. This game can be found on the Neo Geo AES. It can also be found on the Neo Geo MVS. So there's a couple of different ways that you can play this on the platforms. Definitely a great game to play. In terms of gameplay, players can select up to 3 different players on a team in a selection of 10 city-based teams in the United States. In the European and Japanese versions of the game, the cities are replaced with countries around the world, and the selection screens, player skin colors, and costumes also change between the versions. So if you have a Unibios version in your console, go ahead and switch it from time to time to see the different variations in the game. So if you have a UniBIOS, hit it to US, you're gonna see a different version. If you're paying the Euro version, you're gonna see the countries from around the world, vice versa for the Japanese version as well. So it's kind of cool that they kind of switched it up based off of or what country was really going to be hosting what particular game. Kind of cool how they did that. Each team has a total of 18 points in several characteristics. You're going to be doing slam dunks, three-pointers. You're going to have some super speed to run fast, and you're going to be playing defense. You're going to be able to block jump shots, block slam dunks if you're lucky enough. Every team has its own strengths and weaknesses. For example, New York, US in the Japanese EU versions, is good in dunks and bad in three-pointers. On the other hand, Philadelphia or Taiwan in the Japanese in the EU versions is good for three-pointers and bad in dunks. So it's kind of got that early 2K vibe. They're not going to give you a 99 points all the way across the board. They're going to make sure that you're going to be jumping, making some really good jump shots like Jordan, and then you're going to be missing free throws like Shaq. Street Slam is what it's called in Japan, and that was released on the MVS in 1994, back in December of 1994. The home version was released on the AES December 9th of 1994, and you can also find this on the Neo Geo CD, which came out in 1995. The reception for this game was actually fairly good. It sat somewhere smack dab in the middle. 2 to 3 stars, and that's right where it's at. It's had a nice little cult following, and many Neo Geo collectors out there want to get their hands on a US copy just because we don't see too many of them out there. In my 4+ years of collecting Neo Geo, 2024 has generally been the first year that I've seen so many copies of an English version come out. I see the Japanese version all the time, pops up on the line every other week it seems like. But Street Hoop for the US version is becoming a little bit more sporadic in terms of visibility. Is it rare? Some collectors would say so. I would say that, hey, I wasn't focused on looking for this game at first until I got a couple other titles. If Street Hoop is on your radar, definitely put fillers out there in Facebook groups and online, and also check, you're gonna have to check eBay sometimes, but if they've got a make offer, definitely reach out to those sellers and see if you can work some deals. In some cases, you may be able to work a deal offline, and make sure that you're keeping it safe for you and the seller by using PayPal goods and services. Just a little food for thought. So taking a look at the insert in the box, the insert itself looks fairly good. The spine looks really good, not too bad. And then we've got a little bit of fraying on the top of the insert on the top here, so it's not mint. Opening it up on the inside. So the inside of the box, there is some slight cracking here. So a little bit of a crack here, unfortunately, but I can always find a replacement case for that. Looking at the cartridge itself, now this one was worn down with a lot of insertion marks. I'm talking about there was tons of insertion marks all the way across this. I got a nice little tip from one of my fellow Neo Geo sellers on how to clean this. So I'll drop a link in the description on some really good cleaning tools for your cartridges. And this also works for other cartridge-based games too. So not just your Neo Geo. If you've got some minor scratches, maybe some things that can be buffed out and polished up, but it works really well on this. I tell you, I should have done before and after on this, but overall, the cart is in pretty good shape. Looking at the manual itself, it is slightly bent in the top corner here, but overall the manual is in pretty good shape. So what would I rate this in terms of pricing for this game? This game has a range of $32, let's just call it $3,000 all the way up as high as, in some cases, For a super mint copy, you're probably looking around $4,200 to $4,400. So there is a bit of a range. Again, folks, when we're talking about these games, condition is key. You can't ask for the highest price if you've got issues with the cartridge, the box, the manual, etc. Just because the card is clean and the insert is torn doesn't mean that you can ask full price for these games. They have to be completely mint all the way across. Now, did I know that this particular game had some imperfections? Yes, I did. But I wanted this game and I just wasn't willing to pay a third more the price for other copies that were out there that were even in worser condition. So am I happy with this? Yes. Is this a game that you can find out there in a Japanese? Yes, you can find a Japanese copy of this. You can also find an MVS version of this game as well. And as always, if you want to play this digitally, you can always download it and play it that way too. No right or wrong way of doing it. So it's a basketball game, it's a sports game. We've got a couple of sports games on the Neo Geo, but this is the only basketball game. We've got a couple of baseball games, we've got a football game, a numerous amount of soccer games, and then we've got 2 golf games. So we have plenty of sports games out there, but this one kind of stands in its own. It gives me the NBA Jam vibe without the NBA Jam. It doesn't really have the announcers in the background. It kind of gives you the gritty 3-on-3 in the urban streets, slamming it home and the crowd's going crazy. That's the urban vibe that it gives me for this particular game. Is it worth it? Yes. Would I recommend it? Yes. Have I played a lot of this game since I got it? Yes, I have. And I'm gonna give it a 4. And I'm pretty sure, Tiberius, what rating are you gonna give it? I do believe, Ness, that this was well thought. I give Street Hoop a Tiberius rating of 4. This is a good game, very sought after. The game has great mechanics, very smooth, and for those of you who have issues and problems with playing the harder difficulties, this game can be slightly forgiving, not like some of the other sports games like Windjammers that provides you a little bit more grit and you're going to need to know the mechanics a little bit more. I found that playing Street Hoop, you can go into this game fairly easily, creating 3-point shots, doing slam dunks, stealing the ball and blocking it before the opposing team can slam it home. This game is definitely good to play with a friend. However, over time, it can become dull. So I, Tiberius co-host, do recommend that if you have a friend, a buddy, who enjoys a good sports title, this is definitely a recommendation that you shall take in and play. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode over Street Hoop. If you've never played it, definitely give it a shot. There's numerous ways that you can attempt to play this game, whether you're doing it on AES, MVS, CD, or you're emulating it. It's definitely worth a try and awesome time if you're playing with a friend to pass the stick back and forth. If you got a couple of folks that are into basketball, I leave you with this. Collect and play the way you want to collect and play your games. Tiberius, take us out of here. Dearest friends, I, Tiberius co-host, have been extremely happy, foaming at the mouth, if you will, to come back. And with that, we bid you good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you. And for next week's episode, we have another awesome title coming, and guess what? It is going to be about, well, you're going to have to wait until next time, because guess what? It is to be continued. See you again.